Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the United Stand. This is the fan forum, which we should really be calling it now the therapy forum. Absolutely disgraceful. How Ole Gunnar Solskjaer can even last this evening, I really don't understand it. Manchester United have been absolutely piss poor the last few games, and this is the final nail in Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's coffin. 4-1 against Watford. We've got Watford, for Christ's sake. Watford fans singing Ollie's at the wheel. We've had it against Liverpool. We've had it against Manchester City. This is the final nail in the coffin. I do not see how he can survive this. Stupid errors for goals. Again, Manchester United not turning up for 45 minutes of a football game. Is that sustainable? We have spoke about it on this channel before, and we've said it's not, because in theory, when you come up against a better team, you're going to get done and you don't come back for it. And even at half-time, 2-0 down, yes, we give it a bit of a go in the second half. But if we'd have even come back to win 3-2, would it have made much of a difference to what you actually feel about Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and the way that Manchester United's run? It wouldn't have made any difference at all to me. Even if we'd have won that game, it changes absolutely nothing. This is just sheer papering over the cracks. Harry Maguire, I think, as club captain, absolutely shambolic today to get sent off like that, take the armband off, throw it to one side. Again, it's something we debated on the United Stand. We have said that this man is not captain material. That now rules him out for a game against Chelsea next week, which is going to be incredibly, incredibly tough. The one word I take from today, and it is, I've just seen it in the live comments from Michael Norris, embarrassing. I don't know whether he means I'm embarrassing, but Manchester United today as a performance was absolutely embarrassing. And there's no positivity. How can anyone be positive about that? And we've got Jay, who's just come in, the man that Roy Keane has nightmares about, the man who used to take Conor McGregor's dinner money off him when they were in primary school. I'm very interested to hear what you've got to say, mate. Thanks very much for joining me. Initial thoughts. We'll talk about the game first then. 4-1 to Watford. I've had my say. You've obviously jumped in a bit mid-flow on that one, but what are you taking from that game, my friend?
What I'm taking from that game? Well, Solskjaer doesn't literally have a ball between his legs. I know Adam on a couple of shows said it's all about balls. I've used the phrase testicular fortitude. You use the phrase, Kevin, big calls, big balls. Game is in the line, and he brings on Jesse, who yesterday puts a picture of himself doing his Fanny Merchant salute in a West Ham jersey. He comes on sub. Come on. Half-time, on comes Martial, who we've called out Anthony Martial for his commitment in the show many, many times, but Solskjaer thought, okay, where do I turn? I'm tuning it down. I'll bring on Anthony. Anthony's going to play for you, mate. Anthony's checked out. Or bring on Donny as well, who I've ruined his career. And Donny Van de Beek, you said about any positives. Donny Van de Beek, for me, he was the only positive of that game. The way he came on there in the second half, and you could see he's shouting at players. He's trying to get a tune out of Matic. He is trying his best to get the back four to push up. And of course, the two sisters at the back, Maggie and Vicky, they don't want to push up because they also don't have a ball between their legs. Now, Kevin, I said last year with our previous colleagues, I said that Harry Maguire is going to be the rock that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer will perish on. Because Maguire was his signing. Solskjaer nailed his mast to the Harry Maguire flag. He's played him game in, game out. The only credit that I'll give Harry Maguire is that Harry Maguire played when he was injured, and that's commendable. We've parked the price tag a long time ago. But his behaviour today, when he was sent off, we can go through the sending off if you want, but getting the captain's armband and just flinging it down on the ground. Like, we grew up watching Brian Robson, Kevin. It's no mystery that we're the same vintage. Robbo, Cantona, Keno, Steve Bruce, real men, real captains. And then we've got that clown, Maguire's current captain. And we've said in many shows that your captain manifests who the manager is on the pitch. I think today we saw what a manager is. And I'm going to say again, lads, he doesn't have a ball between his legs. And people are going to be in the comments saying, oh, Jay's a big bully. Jay thinks he's a Roy Keane. No, I'm just calling facts. And I've been on the show over a year. I've been calling out Ole Gunnar Solskjaer on Irish radio for 2 years. And Harry Maguire. McTominay today, I know he's come through the system, youth player, young lad, who, 25, 26? He was dog shit today. Bruno was missing in action, and we love Bruno. But the coaching staff and Solskjaer are so bad that they've taken a Bruno Fernandes that came into this league a year and a half ago, set the league literally alight, made us relevant again, and they've turned Bruno Fernandes into, in recent performances, a very poor player. I know the red-tinted spectacles people that love watching MUTV, the aforementioned goldfish and sheep, they'll point to, oh, well, if Ronaldo had finished his 2 shots, we'd have won the game. Bullshit. Look, Kevin, you saw my tweet this morning that I put out. The fox against the Italian fox versus the Norwegian rabbit. And Kevin, I hate being right. We needed 3 points today. Not 3 points for this manager, but 3 points for the next manager. 4 points 21. Mark said it. I caught a little bit of his post-match. That's why I was late on. That's relegation for him.
Yeah. You wouldn't subscribe to the theory, Jay, then, that, would you look at that first half performance? I know I looked at it. My mate rang me and I was like, that's not a team that are playing for the manager. Second half, fair enough. They come out a little bit more fight. And like you rightly said, Donny van der Beek was probably the one shining light. I had going through it. I'm listening to the Watford fans taking the piss, singing about, Ollie's at the wheel. And I'm thinking Donny's at the wheel at that stage. I mean, he come on and he was so impressive, playing forward passes, played Ronaldo in a couple of times. That is the one positive, and you're absolutely bang on with that. But would you agree and look at half-time and think that was... Because we've been here before, haven't we? We've been here with Louis van Gaal. Oh, sorry, to go back to Moyes, Van Gaal, and Mourinho as well, where you get, and Roy Keane called it as well. He said a lot of players that played in that team under Mourinho as well. And he did call it and say these players will throw the manager under the bus at some stage. They will down tools. Did you see that at halftime? Because I couldn't see any fight, any passion, just nothing at all.
I think personally, from the second half against Liverpool, they've down tools. Now, the Atlanta game was standing where we came back from the most burdens for Ronaldo. But look, the second half against Liverpool, the entire 90 minutes against Man City. Today, maybe there was a 15-minute spark where they actually put the effort in. But yeah, they have down tools. They want the manager sacked. And I'll go back to my point on Lingard. Like, Kevin, if you were managing a football club at any level and you have a player the day before a game that carries on with that kind of shite, are you going to bring him on as sub? Like, what message does that send to every other player in that club? I've got no control. I'm just,
we've had this
a
before,
passive
Jay.
man. Yeah, we have. I'm just here.
You think of Paul Pogba, Raiola. Pogba's the puppet. Raiola puts out that story the night before a massive Champions League game that Paul Pogba wants to leave Manchester United. Solskjaer leaves him out for that game. Was it Leipzig? And
Leipzig away.
You look at and you're thinking, well, fair enough. He's made a big call here. But next minute, we're 2-0 down at half time. What does he do? Brings Pogba on. So, Solskjaer does have previous for decisions like this. And sorry to interrupt. I know you'll have your say.
No, it's okay, mate. It's okay.
I think it's absolutely criminal that he's done that with Jesse Lingard today, because one of the main things you would be pulling him in and saying, on the eve of a massive game for Manchester United, why are you tweeting or whatever it was on Instagram, sending out a picture on social media in a rival shirt? Now,
Kevin, you're spot on, because I remember that game vividly, because that was my first ever show on this channel with yourself. So I remember the incident very vividly. And, you know, I have probably been slagging off Paul Pogba and Riola more than anybody on the show, because Paul Pogba, he's not my kind of player. Okay, world class on his day, 10 good games in 5 years. Bullshit. If Paul Pogba had done yesterday what Lingard did, the English media would be losing their frigging minds, Kevin. You know they would. There'd be a meltdown. Sky Sports, Talk Sport, there'd be a meltdown. Oh, it's Jesse, it's Jay Lings, it's Mr. Beans, it's okay. No, it's not okay. So it's one rule for the English players and one rule for the foreign players. But that goes back to the jingoistic media that exists in England. And listen, you know, Kevin, you know, I'm not anti-English. It's not an anti-English thing. I don't want anyone in the comments to think it is. It's certainly not. But we've been calling out the English media on this show you have guys, for as long as I can remember. But yesterday, Pogba does that. He's public enemy number one. Jesse does it. It's kind of brushed under the carpet. And he comes on to his sub. And as I said, Kevin, the message that sends out to every other member of playing staff, they're like, okay, well, he came on. What am I here? Am I sitting here on the bench? I'm just chopped liver. Look, Kevin, we can go on and on and on about Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. He has tainted his legacy for me. You have to have a very clear dichotomy now between Solskjaer, the player, who was a B minus, and Solskjaer, the manager, who's been an F. So you have to have a clear dichotomy.
I don't know whether you've seen after the game, Jay, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer sort of going over to the United fans, you know, hands in the air. I'm not a body language expert. I look into it, and was that a final goodbye, do you think? Is this a kind of a dead man walking where he's looking or is he just apologising to the fans to say, that was dog shit, you know, we go again? And that is one thing that is going to grate me this evening. I'm not in the best of moods. And if I'll probably stay off social media, but I'm sure something will get through to me. The likes of, I'll be very interested on Harry Maguire to see what his PR company put out this evening, because Harry Maguire, for me, he's just done it. And it's something we have debated on the United stand. The captaincy, should he have it? And again, I think it totally comes down to the £80 million or whatever it was fee that Manchester United paid for him. He's an asset. Is he a footballer? You know, should he be in that team? If this was a lad that had come up through the youth academy, or let's say we bought him from Sheffield United for £1 million, I honestly don't think he would be anywhere near that team. And I don't think I'm being harsh in saying that. It is purely living off the price tag and the transfer fee that Manchester United paid for him. And Solskjaer paid that money for him. He's one of Solskjaer's favourites in here. Friends.
Look, he had a decent Euros, to his credit, playing beside John Stones in a very, very defensive English team. And Kevin, you know, I wanted England to win the Euros. I did. I actually wanted England to win at Wembley. I genuinely did. You know, good for the game. He looked decent in the Euros, but when he played for us, has there ever been a game where you've said, Jesus, Harry Maguire, he was 9 out of 10 today. He saved our bacon. We got 3 points there because Harry Maguire was just stellar. I can't remember one performance. I genuinely can't. But as I said at the start of this conversation, he is Solskjaer's man. And for Solskjaer, Maguire and Lindelof and who else? The Undroppables, the golden children, Scott McTominay. And Kevin, I know you like Scott, but you got testified today. He was terrible today.
I cannot defend that, I will say. And again, I spoke to my friend at halftime and I said, McTominay and Matic are just being overrun as a midfield. And I've said that about Manchester United before, this donut theory, that we're, you know, around the edges and that we're all right up top, but in the middle, we've got nothing. There is a gaping hole. And it does come back to the issue of, why didn't Ole Gunnar Solskjaer address this? I love hearing, you know, these stories that get spun that Manchester United are looking at, you know, solving this midfield crisis in January. You know, it's a very tough market to go into in January, which begs the question, why didn't you sort it out in the summer? Because that's the sort of main part of the team, isn't it? And game after game, Tom Cleverley running the midfield today, looking like prime Zidane. Right? And he isn't. He's not prime Zidane. He's Tom Cleverley. You know, we got rid of him for a reason. And it just to see him running around, and it just shows how bad we are in that midfield area.
But I think today you've got to give Watford and Ranieri and those players full credit. They're playing at home. They know they're going to be in a relegation dogfight. And I did a pre-match on Irish Radio, which I posted on Instagram. People can go back and check it. And I called it out. I said, Dennis, Sa is going to give Maguire the runaround. I said about McTominay, I said about Matic, I said about Lindelof, I said about Maguire that we're going to be caught for pace. I thought it was going to be a draw. I thought we'd nick a point. Nicking a point at Vicarage Road. That's what I thought we we're going to get. Like, it's just so. Like, I suppose, Kevin, you're like me. You're very pragmatic. Your feet are very firm in the ground when it comes to analysing football. And I know we did it at the Thursday night show, and in hindsight, we were all saying, yeah, it's 3 points, but there was a bit of trepidation in our voices that it should have been 3 points. But I think we all knew even on Thursday, it wasn't nailed on, Kev.
It comes down to standards, Jay. It comes down to standards. And we have firmly been put in our place big time. I think these last, especially the Manchester City game, the Liverpool game as well. And it just shows how far behind we've fallen, that we rock up at these teams. Like, you're quite correct in saying that on Thursday night, the preview to the show, we're going, 3 points. It's Watford away. You know, we were Watford. But Watford did the one thing that Manchester United do not do: work hard, play as a team. They've got balance to the team. So what? You know, we've got Jadon Sancho, even Ronaldo, Bruno Fernandes, whatever. If you've got no structure to a football team, you're not going to win anything. And you bang on with Watford played exactly like a football team, like a team. And they run. That first half, the likes of Rashford and that, static, not even moving. Absolutely abysmal, man. You're looking at it and you're thinking, have you got no pride in yourself? And if these players have down tools or whatever you want to call it, have a bit of pride in yourself. You are paid by Manchester United. Whether you don't like the manager, you don't like the coaching, you're not even on side with the game plan or whatever, go out there and at least do it, you know, for the fans, the ones that have travelled to Watford, the ones that are actually making the way home from that game now and have had to endure 95 minutes or whatever of absolute shite football, you know, and just I can't.
Kevin,
put it into words, man.
Will you put in context for people watching that are not in England or Ireland how long it would take to drive from Manchester to London to Vicarage Road round trip, just to put it in context for people?
Probably about two and a half, maybe 3 hours to get there. So, yeah, well, so let's say roughly about 6 hours then. So,
a 6 hour round trip to watch an hour and a half of that. So, 7.5 hours. So, essentially, one's entire day to see Marcus Rashford not even show some professional pride. That is absolutely embarrassing. It
is. And the away tickets aren't cheap as well. Very, very hard to get hold of. I'm really lost this evening. I really thought we were through this, you know, things will get a lot worse before they start to get better. And I thought we were through that. But I think defeat to Liverpool and Manchester City under this current manager and the current setup, I think we're years behind. And it's the reason we've discussed in depth that a better manager would get more out of these players. And we're at the crossroads. We're through the crossroads, actually. We're at the point now where a new manager has to come in. But the question I will ask you, Jay, is are you confident that on the back of this 4-1 shambolic, embarrassing defeat, that the Glazers and Woodward will start to look at this now and maybe act upon it? I know there's rumours of Zidane. Apparently he's learning English. You get the banterers that are saying he's trying to learn English to tell Man United to do one. But have you got faith that United will? Or is the fact that Solskjaer signed the 3-year deal at Manchester United, is that going to be a problem because they would have to pay him off?
Yeah, if I'm correct in my information, the payoff is in excess of £7 million. And that's just for Solskjaer. Mickey Phelan signed his contract quite recently. I know the club were poised to offer Carrick and McKenna new contracts. So getting rid of Solskjaer isn't the answer. They got to get rid of every single one of them. And they can't do that because tomorrow's the recovery day. Monday, they fly to Spain. And Tuesday night is a must-win game against Villarreal. So they could sack Solskjaer tonight, but then would you take Mickey Phelan or Carrick as the caretaker manager against Villarreal? It's more the same, mate. Or Darren Fletcher, the what's his title? The technical director of football. The technical director. Would you take a non-proven chap in Darren Fletcher? Now, Darren Fletcher as a player, midfield, battery. We loved him midfield, but he's unproven as a manager. Would you take him to take over running of affairs against Villarreal Tuesday night? No. Do you think Brendan Rodgers is going to be signed tomorrow and in charge for Tuesday against Villarreal? No. Kevin, I'm at a stage now where this football club is Disneyland. Anything could happen. But whatever happens, it'll be done with social media and big, happy, smiley faces. And I'm loving to see now, today and tomorrow, what bullshit is spun and what pictures. And as you said at the start of the show, you're going to come off social media tonight, but it's very hard to avoid because you'll be sent links and WhatsApps and God knows what. Yeah. But wait and see. It's going to be, we move on, big game, Villarreal Tuesday night, da-da-da-da-da.
We go again.
We go again. And that, the club should just, for the next 48 hours, go on a social media blackout as the player and also the players. Don't tweet, don't do anything, guys, because you went 9 days on a blackout after the loss to Man City. So I think next 48 hours, I don't want to hear from them.
And I mean, just on the manager, the tricky thing at the minute is, like you say, it's getting somebody in at this stage now, because a manager would probably look and say, Villarreal, Chelsea at the weekend. Personally, I just don't think Manchester United will act upon this. And I keep saying it. I still think he will get to the end of the season. But at what point, from the board's perspective, do you look at this? Results aren't sustainable at the minute. If we continue the way we are, I mean, never mind not being able to getting at the top four. We're going to be, bottom half of the table. It really is worrying. But from the board's perspective, I don't understand why they don't look at it. They look at signing Cristiano Ronaldo, for instance, like you say, the shiny new toy that'll keep them Glazer protesters away for a few months or whatever. But surely, you look at the share price of Manchester United at that stage, rocketed just by signing Cristiano Ronaldo. Surely a new manager would have a similar effect if you brought in the right person. And if the Glazers are money men, would they not look and think, well, if we get rid of Solskjaer now, get a manager in? I don't know. Personally, it'd be Ten Hag for me. But surely somebody like that, would that affect the share price at Manchester United? Would they not be exploring this opportunity and thinking, well, this could raise more money for them? I'm not saying I want it to do it for them, but if the money men, would they look at it and think, maybe now is the time? We bite the bullet, we do away with that and bring in a new manager.
I think on Monday morning, when the New York Stock Exchange opens up, the share price would actually be very interesting to see, has it taken a hit over the last 2 weeks? Be very interesting to see. And I don't look at share prices, I don't own any shares, but I think Monday I'm going to have a look at the United shares and see, have taken a bit of a plummet. And yeah, if a new manager comes in, obviously then investors get confident and there is a bounce. But I saw a comment there from some chap called Space Hopper, and he said it's Ragnick time. But as we all know, Ragnick wants to come in as the interim. He's made it publicly clear he wants to come in as the interim and then take over in the summer as director of football and hire the next manager. Kevin, we both know the Glazers don't want that, because that means that they lose an element of power in the running of the club. And Ed Woodward is staying on as a consultant. And as we know, Murtaugh and Arnold, his mates, are going to be running it. So it's a case of reshuffling the chairs on the Titanic. That's all they're going to do.
There's a lot of love for you in the comment section, Jay. A lot of people saying that it should be Jay at the wheel. I'll ask you this one thing now, right? You're manager of Manchester United. You've just been put through that. I know that Manchester United wouldn't lose if they wouldn't be embarrassed like that if you were in charge. But Harry Maguire, right? How would you deal with that? I'll say situation. They're sending off. I think currently he's in really, really, really poor form. He's played today, sent off. What are you saying to Harry Maguire after that game?
Do you know what I do? I do exactly what Brian Clough did to Roy Keane when Roy Keane played for Nottingham Forest. I think Keane had one bad performance, cost him the game. And basically, Cloughie gave Keane an unmerciful wallop into the guts to remind him of the loss. I am a fucking bully, yeah. I smash Harry Maguire, first thing.
And that's what makes me laugh. There's a lot of United fans that will subscribe to the theory that we talk about taking the captaincy off Harry Maguire, which I believe is a massive thing at Manchester United. To walk out at the theatre of dreams, lead that team out, drive them on or whatever is a massive thing. And you look at past club captains, but Harry Maguire, I just don't get it. I do not get it. And the money aside, whatever, you need to be nipping it in the bud straight away. And if Solskjaer, what it comes down to, Jay, and I would say it's favourites. Harry Maguire is guaranteed to get in that team. And there's a lot of other players. And you quite rightly say McTominay, we always go on about Fred. The thing that makes me laugh about it, there's not even players that you can rely on. When you've got somebody like Donny van de Beek that come on the pitch today, and I thought was absolute, considering he's not had much game time, looked interested. The tackle on Sarr, right? He wasn't booked for it. He did get the ball and sort of followed through, got the man. That's what I want from Manchester United players. You know, that set the tempo for the game. I think that some of the other United players at that stage probably looked and thought, you know, he's up for this. And if I'm Donny van de Beek, I'd be saying, even when he scored his goal, signals over at the United fans, you know, getting them, come on. And you need more players in your team like that. There's too many players in this team that go through the motions. Aaron Wan-Bissaka's not been in great form. Luke Shaw, I don't know what has happened to him since the Euros. Matic today, again, anonymous. McTominay, absolutely awful. Rashford, bits, you know, doing bits, running about, looking lively now and again. It's too many passengers in a team. Far too many passengers. And you will get found out by teams like Watford today. No disrespect, absolutely total respect for him. Played as a team and absolutely did a job on us. And I certainly won't go, it was 4-1 because Harry Maguire got sent off. We could have been 4-0 down at half time. And we couldn't have had any complaints.
Kevin, you're 100% correct. Had it not been for David De Gea today, just David De Gea, I know the third goal beaten in his near post. I thought that was poor. Maybe he just thought, geez, what the hell am I doing here? But I think at half time, it could have been 3 or 4 had not been for David De Gea. Obviously, he took penalty saves, and there was 2 other saves as well that he made on top of that. If Dean Henderson was playing today and pull off 2 penalty saves plus 3 additional ones, the English media would be singing his praises. But David De Gea won't get any credit for his performance today. David De Gea gets it. He's Man United through and through. He absolutely is. Regarding Donny van de Beek again, like, it just shows a testament to the individual that Donny is. He's hardly had a look in all season, and he's come on today, and he hasn't played for the manager. He hasn't played for Donny. He's played for you and I and the shirt. And he's done that today, and he was a credit to the jersey today. And so unfortunately, we don't have 10 more Donny van de Beeks.
Yeah. I was actually going to say man of the match. If you want to throw it in the viewers into the comment section very quickly, I think we've more or less covered it there. And I mean, I'm not going to say it's embarrassing. I'm just going to say we're Manchester United, and I would give Donny van de Beek probably over David De Gea man of the match purely because of what he did when he come on. Forward passes. You know, I'd forgotten about how starved of creative play we've been in the middle of the park because we're so used to Fred and McTominay running into each other and left and right. And you get Donny van de Beek who come on today. I mean, one of the balls he played through to Ronaldo sort of, you know, curls it round. He made it look so easy. And sometimes them passes are, but exactly what Donny van der Beek brings to Manchester United. And for some reason, he's not been given a chance. Yet Ole Gunnar Solskjaer signed him. For me, you build the midfield, around players like Donny van der Beek. It's debatable on Pogba because I think we all know that in the summer, if not already, we'd be talking to clubs that he's going to leave Manchester United. But what a great replacement in Donny van der Beek. I've seen everything today from him. Professionalism. That was one of the main things I would say. Because again, and we spoke about this, Jay, after the Manchester City game, you're throwing him on 2-0 down, totally outclassed by Manchester City with 10 minutes left. And I said to you at the time, if I was Van der Beek, I'd be looking at Solskjaer and saying, are you being serious, mate? 10 minutes against Man City, who are outclassing us, and we're 2-0 down, and you want me to come on and do something? And today, 45 minutes, he scores within a couple of minutes coming on, which was great to see, but it really is the only highlight you take from it. But if Solskjaer, if for any reason he keeps his job after this, surely you look at that now, wouldn't you, and think, Van der Beek, he's in there. Compared to McTominay, Matic, Fred, he can play a ball forward. And you're a big fan of Michael Carrick. I was as the player. I see the same kind of, sort of animal inside him, the one that's getting his head up, looking and playing positive passes.
But Kevin, like Solskjaer will always go on and on like a broken record. Donny is doing well in training. Unquote. Well, if he's doing so well in training, bloody would play him in a match.
Yeah. And
today, if there's ever a game to start Donny van der Beek and Matic, it was today. Like, because he broke up the Mac-Fred pairing, started Matic. So logic would dictate, well, you start Donny, and then if and when Matic legs go in the 70 minute or whatever, then bring on Fred if you have to break up play and play 5-yard passes. But leave Donny sitting there doing his thing. But again, that goes back to a manager knowing his players, knowing his tactics, and having a philosophy.
Do you think, I wrote down earlier when I was watching the game, and I looked at sort of Wan-Bissaka, and I always think he's one of the first names on the team sheet. And then I look and I think, in the summer, Manchester United obviously chasing Trippier to maybe put a bit of pressure on him. The same way that Luke Shaw upped his game at Manchester United when they brought in Telles. Telles hasn't had as much game time as obviously would have wanted, but it's brought on Luke Shaw. And I think there's nothing wrong. I wrote down no competition for places. And I think we do have a good squad at Manchester United. But when you continue to play your favourites and you look at it, and I'm thinking, is there really competition? Is there anyone breathing down the likes of Lindelof and Harry Maguire? Is anyone breathing down their neck and staking a claim to get in at centre-back? Again, Wan-Bissaka will be in there because is Dalot, could he get in on the right-hand side? I just don't see that. And then we're stuck really with the midfield pairing of Fred and McTominay because we've got Matic who can play, 50 minutes a game or whatever, starts today. It's very clear that he's coming towards the end of his career. The same way that we had the middle of the park baffles me, Jay, because I think over Schneiderlin, Schweinsteiger, I loved him in his prime. Very clear that when he comes to Manchester United, injuries, end of his career. And I just cannot believe that we are still having this conversation and debate about the middle of the park, the most important area. You can get away with playing somebody out on the left, somebody out on the right. This is where the battles are won. This is where Manchester City win battles against us. And it's not even being a tough tackling, a Yaya Toure, somebody of that stature. It's just having somebody technically good enough in the middle of the park. Manchester City have proved that you don't need some big, heavy, somebody that's going to fly into challenges and that. They're just technically brilliant footballers. And Guardiola's brought that from Barcelona. And at Manchester United, I think today, seeing Donny van der Beek and technically how good he is, I still can't believe that he's not brought him in. But do you think that it has been an area of the pitch that Manchester United have struggled to address over the years, over the last, 3, 4, since the days that David Moyes bringing Fellaini in, for Christ's sake?
The last decent midfield three we had that I felt actually worked was Herrera.
Herrera, yeah.
Prime Matic and Pogba, when Pogba felt like actually lifting a finger. And that goes back to what now, 2018 probably? That's 3 years. So we haven't had a decent midfield trio in 3 years, I would argue. And now the live comments might correct me in that. And anyone in the live comments, if you can think of any better pair, any trio we've had in the last 3 or 4 years, by all means, correct me. But I think that was the last time. And we know what happened to Herrera. He wanted a little bit more money. Delayed his contract going down. Wouldn't give him what he wanted. And off he went to PSG on a free. And here we are now on the cusp of losing Pogba twice on a free. But that's another story for another day. And as you said, point out, Kevin, in football, the midfield, it literally is the engine room. It's the fulcrum of the entire creative process. The division between the defense and attack all happens in midfield. But we said it on Thursday night, Michael Carrick, great midfielder in his day. I thought he was actually vastly underrated. So he's been on the training ground for the last couple of seasons. What is he? And I know I'm saying now hypothetically because we don't know, but what the hell has he been doing on the training ground for the last 3 seasons? Because we've actually regressed in midfield. We've totally regressed.
Here's one for you. Donny van de Beek's goal today, headed goal, is Manchester United's first headed goal this season. And we're in November, right? Did we employ a set piece coach?
Apparently so, and is not a Maiden McKenna, if I'm not mistaken. No. Somebody sent me a message on Twitter saying that he was a Maiden McKenna. Now I don't know if that's true or not, but that's what I was told. So that's the first goal we've scored in November
first
from a header.
Goal of the season.
Headed goal.
Headed goal.
That's startling. That is startling.
It's unbelievable.
I'm actually speechless, and it takes a lot to make me speechless. I don't know how to respond to that. That's how speechless I am.
I tell you one thing I did see today. There was a tweet put out by the Evening News. I think they were sort of having a dig at Jose Mourinho in his office. He's still got a picture of him kissing the Europa League trophy, which a lot of rival fans jumped on. Mourinho's small time, whatever. So I looked up the team, right? This is the team that played against Ajax. And I'm trying to get through to my point. I know Ricky, who's on the channel or was on the channel, comes on now and again. He's always been on about balancing a team. What I will say to you first, Jay, is what were your initial thoughts when you actually heard the team today? Did you think, come on, United, let's go at it? Or did you look at the middle of the park as being a bit of a weak link?
The first thing I looked at was Maguire and Lindelof are playing. They're facing up to Sa and Dennis. And Sa and Dennis are going to rip them apart. That's the first thing I thought. And they did. And then the obvious one then was, as you've just said, pointed out very eloquently, the engine room, the midfield pivot. I know the midfield pivot, like Kevin, we didn't grow up with that phrase. That's because it had become a phrase the last couple of years. That's what it's new phrases. But the midfield pivot there, that was waiting for trouble. It was a disaster waiting to happen. A lot of fans probably rejoiced when Fred wasn't playing. But yeah, don't play Fred. But if you're not playing Fred, don't play McTominay either, because they are one and the same. And Donny van de Beek today, I know we keep harping back to it, but he really showed up Solskjaer today for what he is, which is clueless. Absolutely clueless.
I totally agree. It's because it's the only positive we can take from it, Jay. That's why we talk about.
Donny I know we keep going back to it, and I might be getting boring for people watching, but it's testament to the glaring blind spot that Solskjaer has for his midfield to any centre back pairing.
Yeah. He's just such a great guy. I mean, if let's say Solskjaer does get the bullet tonight, or if something strange happens, which I wouldn't expect it to, but if Manchester United sack him and I was Van der Beek, I'd just walk in and smile. I think I'd smile and shake his hand and just say, all the best. Sarcastically, but as if you're rising above it, I'd just go, all the best, Ollie. It's been gregreat or whatever.
Enjoy retirement. Enjoy retirement, Ollie.
Just back to the team, right? This was 2000 and what was it?
And 17?
18. And I think the Evening News are having a bit of a dig at Mourinho because he's got this picture of himself kissing the Europa League. All rival fans jumped on it. Mourinho's small time. He's passed it, this, that. So I looked up the team and I responded to this and I said, I still think he classes it as a major achievement because of the team that he actually started in that final, because I could vividly remember the players that played in that team. And we beat Ajax 2-0, a very good Ajax team. Donny van der Beek come on in that game, funnily enough. So he was still like getting 10 minutes here and there. But you had the likes of De Ligt and Sanchez. And, you know, it was a really good team. It was a tough game, but we won it quite convincingly. Now, the team that played that day, and this was Mourinho's team for the final, Romero in net, Valencia, Smalling, Blind, Darmian, Herrera, Pogba, Juan Mata, Fellaini, Mkhitaryan and Rashford. And that's the team that convincingly beat Ajax. And this is why I hark back to a team having some kind of balance, because when you break down that team and look at it, and one of the main keys to that game and man of the match performance was from a player that Manchester United let walk away for free and now plays for Paris Saint-Germain, ripping it up. And Herrera was man of the match. And people say about Mourinho, some of us probably laughed when he flippantly said, finishing second in the Premier League with Manchester United, one of my biggest achievements. Because we're United fans, we're used to success and we're like, what's he on about? But you look at that team, you know, to win it with that, and then you throw the likes of Phil Jones into the mix and players like that he had to call upon. And the fact that he wasn't back to the extent that he wanted to be in the transfer market. And it makes for an interesting read, I think. You look at that team and think, on paper, Fellaini, you know, Juan Mata's a great player, a pro or whatever, but the back line of like Valencia, Smalling, Blind, Darmian, I'm like, but we got through it, didn't we? And that's testament to Mourinho and the way he gets results. I always say we would not have lost that final in the Europa League that we lost under Solskjaer if we had Mourinho in charge. And that's where Solskjaer's failing. He cannot get over the line. Semi-final FC, call us whatever you want. But when the going gets tough, the tough gets going for Solskjaer. And he will continue to falter at that. That's the business end of the season. That's where your Klopps, Tuchel's, Guardiola's, they see it through. And that's because they're elite managers. Solskjaer, give him another 3 years or whatever, I still think we'll be pissing about and we'll be nearly, man.
Kevin, I'm very glad you raised that point about Jose and the Europa League final and subsequently finishing second the following season when we had Zlatan. Sorry, Zlatan was the Europa League season. Zlatan got injured in the semi-final. I almost forgot. Right. You watched the Amazon Prime Spurs documentary, and you saw how Jose was interacting with the players and his staff. Now, I know people say, oh, that was for the cameras. It was for the cameras. I don't believe it was. That's just Jose. That's just his makeup. That's who he is. And I suppose players of a softer mentality and a softer disposition can't deal with the gravitas and the charisma and the ruthless mentality of a Jose Mourinho character. And the latter end of his tenure at United, and I agree with Roy Keane, the players threw Jose under the bus. In comes Ole. Everyone's getting hugs and kisses. You know, it's all rainbows and leprechauns, and everyone's happy. Results turn up a little bit. He gets the job, and then what happens when he gets the job? Nosedive. Remember the 4-0 away loss to Everton in the end of the season, 2018. That should have been ringing alarm bells in the fan base.
There was no running that day. I remember being shocked. And that was literally, they were just stood looking at each other. It was literally dead, wasn't it? The players were, that I don't even know whether you could say shocked. They were just looking at each other and going, what? You know, there was just absolutely nothing. I think Gary Neville, even, not a big fan of his, but after the game, he said, you know, when a player stops running, you know, do you think they've down tools, Shay, from looking on, you know, from the outside? Do you think that players in the changing room, and it's something we have talked about before, because they will talk between each other in WhatsApp groups or whatever. Do you think that they would be going along the lines of now, like, and I said it would not take Ronaldo long to suss out somebody like Solskjaer, regardless of whether he's played for him, club legend or whatever. Ronaldo's not come to Manchester United to be playing in the Europa League or competing for top four. Do you think the players would be questioning Solskjaer tactically and game plans?
Do you think for 1 second Ronaldo has, in his career plan, thought I'm sure he almost thought he was going to come back to United for the last dance, the last hurrah. But you ever think in his career, in his mindset, he almost thought, I'm going to go back to United and I'm going to play for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer? No, absolutely not. My fear is that we are in the Europa League in 2022, or God forbid, the Europa Conference League. Ronaldo, I'm sure, has a clause in his contract that lets him leave in May if that happens. And you know what? I wouldn't blame him.
I wouldn't.
There's a commentator, Man United have called an emergency board meeting to discuss Solskjaer's dismissal as manager of the Times Sport. Okay.
I would really hope that is, legitimate. I think I promised myself I wouldn't go on social media this evening. It sounds sort of sour grapes and that, but it's just my makeup and how I work. I like to just turn the phone off, put it in a drawer, and just pretend it never happened. But the thing about coming on the therapy forum, as we need now, we're going to have to rename it the therapy forum, because that's all.
Yeah, we are, definitely.
But the thing about coming on here is I managed to get it out of my system, because I've had to sit and endure that. Now, if Manchester United have called an emergency board meeting to discuss Solskjaer's dismissal, to discuss it, the only thing that can happen, I would just say, end the pain, end my pain, end Jay's pain, end any Manchester United fan's pain. I can't understand, and I certainly don't know anyone. I know some hardcore United fans. One rang me at halftime. He always rings me at halftime just for a quick 10-minute chat to see. And even he was heavily in with Solskjaer, and now he's Kev. All right, I'm there now. He's like, I cannot endure any more of this. It's affecting. I think it's affecting my mental health. I honestly think it is. My mood at the weekend drastically changes. I've gone from being kind of angry to now you kind of expect it, don't you? The fourth goal that rattled in today, and you're like, yeah. But I mean, what's your reaction to that, Jay? If they have instructed, the Glazer family has also instructed club officials to further accelerate attempts to persuade Zinedine Zidane. That's the Times again. So there's no smoke without fire. Obviously, if it was the Sun or something like that, I wouldn't even wipe my arse on the copy of the Sun. But it seems like something might be gathering pace, doesn't it, Jay? I mean, let's not forget, Louis van Gaal was sacked, I think it was an hour after winning the FA Cup.
Yeah,
Manchester United. I remember being on the coach coming back from Wembley, and everyone was like, Mourinho's been, come out on BBC Sport and be like, yeah, we've only just won the FA Cup. We're still kind of celebrating. We weren't even home. The same with Mourinho, won two trophies, 3 if you count the Community Shield thing. But that's why I can't understand the standards. United won the FA Cup that day, Louis van Gaal in charge, but decided, bang, we're going to go for the elite manager. We'll bring him in. And so still Solskjaer's not won anything. We've endured weeks. And it's been embarrassment. We've not competed. We've been absolutely nothing. Liverpool, Man City, Watford. How many goals have been scored in them games against us? I don't know.
Looking at that now, that's 10 goals. That's 10 goals conceded in 3 league games. No, it's 11.
11.
11, yeah. And Liverpool, in the second half, took their foot off the gas. They could have had 7 or 8, I thought. Man City, second half, went through the motion like it was a training game.
Yeah. That was.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
They literally was like a training game. It was like a cat toying with a ball of wool in the second half against Man City. That was so embarrassing. And I honestly believe, Kevin, after Man City, okay, first of all, Liverpool, we thought, okay, you'll be sacked 5-0, whatever. But after Man City, international break now, you have ample time to go and source, interview multiple candidates. You've got 9 days.
And then we've got Chelsea away next Sunday.
Yeah, you've got 9 days. You did 9 days. But instead, no, lads, go and have a holiday. Stay in training if you want. We're not bothered. But if you want to go and have a holiday, have a holiday. But meanwhile, Watford are at their training facility, working on systems, working on tactics, because they know they're going to be in a relegation dogfight. But no, our club, lads, if you're not playing national football, stay in training if you want, or go on a holiday. Basically, it's up to yourselves. Ole, you go and catch some salmon in Norway. Go ride your bike, do a bit of shopping on IKEA, and then come back. A job is here. And Kevin, you said about standards. Yeah. You said about standards. That is the standard that we're dealing with. Martial, last week, he's off water skiing. He's playing today. He couldn't be arsed.
There's a quick super chat there. Sorry, Jay, from the Stretford end. I don't think it is actually the Stretford end. It's impossible, actually. Said Ollie out, Donny in. So I've said it earlier. Forget Ollie's at the wheel. Donny's at the wheel. Well impressed with him. There's one more there from Mike Thomas who said, Ollie has been spotted in tears. That's via the Express. He knows he is going tonight, definitely. I think, God, there's my social media, whatever, hiatus gone, because I think I'm going to be glued to the phone tonight. Just checking on
Kevin, looking at those,
Jay, isn't it? That
we don't have any, but we don't have any. We don't have any.
And look at Barcelona, right? And it is exactly the same. Ronald Koeman, club legend, who scored a goal in a European Cup final, won them the first ever European Cup at Barcelona. Even Barcelona, for all the trouble that they're in, did they piss about? Did they mess about? When it come down to it and they knew he wasn't the right man, no room for sentiment in football. And if the Glazers class it as a business, this business will be on its arse big time.
Yeah, I think Barcelona, they got beaten by the odd goal to Real Madrid, then lost midweek the odd goal to Alaves. Now, we're talking here like a 2-1 or 1-0. The odd goal, Ronald, hasta luego.
Yeah, not like 5-0 by your rivals, Liverpool, 2-0 absolutely bossed. It should have been another 5-0 against Man City. And now the added misery of 4-1 against Watford. And that's why I really, it sounds awful. Listen, Solskjaer's he has done lots for Manchester United. He took over at a tricky time. He has brought in great players. But for me, he's not getting anything out of these players. A better manager would get more out of this current. On paper, we've actually got a good team. And the one main thing I said about the midfield, that was up to him to address that problem. He went out and spent 70-odd million on Jadon Sancho, who he's using now and again. Thought he did all right today. But that money could have been used in an area that could have saved him his job. Now, he looks back at that, and I think it's going to be a decision that will ultimately cost him his job.
But Kevin, on a previous show, I used an analogy about Solskjaer and the players he's been given. I liken it to a professional racing bike. He's been given the carbon fiber frame, the carbon fiber wheels. Everything is flash, bling to the max. Probably cost about £12,000. But the rider on the bike is a fat git. He's going nowhere fast. That's it. We're going nowhere fast because the rider is incompetent and always depth.
Yeah. David McGloin, I think it is. If I got that name wrong, sir, I'm very sorry. Super chat said, I'm dreading Chelsea game. The form has been so horrific. I will be hiding behind the sofa. I want United to win, of course, but I just can't see it. Now, if we're going off sort of hearsay and the kind of news that's starting to break and come out, it could well be that a different manager is in charge. The thing I worry about, Joe, I think the next manager of Manchester United has to be very, very well thought out. And this is where it comes down to standards. You should always have a plan in place. You look at the way that Manchester City are run. I bet Manchester City already know who they, even though Guardiola's there for another 2 years or whatever, I bet long term, they've already had discussions about who will replace Guardiola. Probably the same at Liverpool with Klopp as well. They will have a plan in place which will maintain their success moving on into the future. And that's where I think they've been totally taken aback by recent results. I don't think they expected us to be embarrassed by Liverpool, embarrassed by Manchester City, and today. And that's why it's not a knee-jerk reaction, is it? We've had 3 years of this. We've give it time. We've gone along with the process. Give him time. Right, fair enough. I've got behind him. I've been to matches. I've sung his song. I've done it all. I've defended him. I've argued with people who said he's a PE teacher, he's this, that. And I'm like, no, you know what? But listen, it's time to wake up and smell the coffee, because I honestly, physically and mentally, I can't take any more of it, man. I cannot take any more of it.
If you cast your mind back to the lovely show Adam, yourself, and I did last Saturday night, there was no football. We had the loveliest conversation. It was
nice and laid back. It was great, wasn't it?
You were getting your wine topped up by a lovely wife, and I was on my protein shake. Everyone was happy. There was no football. Now here we are. You just said that you are physically stressed because of what you saw today. Yeah. You are. I can see it in your eyes. I can see it in your eyes. And you love that dog. You love that dog.
I love that dog. I've never shouted at it in my life. And it wasn't even doing anything. It was just looking at me. I was like, Sally, what are you looking at? This straight after the match, and I feel awful now. I'll have to go in and apologise to her. But that's what Manchester
you got to go
does,
pat him on the head.
It's just because you sit there and watch the match, on your own, and then it's like, and then she'll come in and look, and then she looks at the score, and it's like, even the wife knows. I think she looks and thinks, oh God, he's going to be grumpy all evening. But I think we're past that point, Jay. We are well.
Kevin, I tell you now, right? I wrote an article. Was it last Sunday or Monday? I can't recall. I said in the article that I have fallen out of love with the club, and I have. And it's the club that, my grandfather, my father, it's ingrained in my family, and I fall in love with them. And I hated writing that piece. If I had to write it honestly, because Adam asked me, just write from the heart and write what you feel. Don't hold back. And I did. And and the amount of bloody abusive DMs I got on Twitter, because I said, no, listen, I see them, but I don't open them. I just delete. But and I also said in the article as well that now I'm professionally obliged to watch them. I never thought that I'd be using those words with the club that's been ingrained in my family all these years. But that is what the Glazers and Ed Woodward have reduced you and I, lifelong legacy fans, too.
Yeah.
And this is that's sad. It's sad.
It's something that's gone, I call it modern football fuckery, mate. That's my thing for it. And it is the way that the game has changed. I mean, I used to work at Old Trafford on the car parks and that. So I started working there, in 96? I did Euro 96. I worked there for it. So literally got into every game. I was kind of paid to go to Old Trafford, which was my dream job.
Class.
I did that for years. Now, it started changing then in the 90s. Obviously, as United become more successful, that will bring more interest in at Manchester United. Now, one thing I was never mithered about outside Old Trafford was somebody asking me where the seat was, because you had season ticket holders, people, more or less from Manchester, from the surrounding areas that were there. Now, in the 90s, everything that obviously everybody wanted to go and watch Manchester United. So it totally changed. And the hospitality at Old Trafford changed. And everything's catered towards hospitality, because that's where the money is. And the
prawn sandwich brigade.
Hundreds of times a day. When I was at Old Trafford, then the amount of people that come up, excuse me, mate, where's the North Stand? Where's the West Stand? Where's this? Where's that? And you don't realise how many people are going to Old Trafford, for the first time. And I'm not knocking that one bit. I'm just saying it's totally changed at Manchester United. And you do have that, like Roy Keane said, the prawn sandwich brigade. I've been in that section before, and it's dead. There's people sat with blankets on them, kids with iPads while the match is on.
Oh,
just these rich kids. And do you know what I said to my dad once? My dad was sat with me, and I'm like looking, and I said, look at this little knobhead. I said, he's not even watching the game. Do you know whose son it was? And I didn't even realise that. I looked up, it was Phil Neville and his son and that. And the kids were all on iPads, not even bothered about the match. And I was like, oh, right, okay. But And that's the way that football has gone. It's all catered towards hospitality. You see them champagne thingies or corks flying, and they're the ones that are spending the money, not me or you, Jay. If you come over from Ireland to watch United, that's, you know, 30, 40 pound a ticket, goes in, maybe has a couple of beers, they're not interested in us. It's upstairs where it's all going on, you know, where the real money's made. And it's a sad thing. I think it really is. And I know loads of United fans who have just said they've just had enough. The takeover of the Glazers, 2005, we've had, 16, whatever years of that. And it's just going to continue, isn't it? Manchester United is a cash cow to the Glazers. They will continue to milk it until every last drop's gone. I think they're here for the long time.
Yeah. What's the club worth now? It's worth what, about 4 billion, give or take? Yeah, roughly 4 billion. And since Alex Ferguson left, 1.2 billion has been spent on players between Moyes, Van Gaal, Jose, and Ole. And we've won no league titles, no Champions League. But I guess 1.2 billion doesn't get you a lot these days, Kevin, does it?
No, it certainly doesn't, mate. I tell you something, mate, we are up at the hour mark. The powers that be are shouting down on me and saying, Kev, finish this. I think tonight, if anything, Manchester United need to finish it. Never mind the United stand. There is one more super chat quickly. Mike Hill said, my guess, Zidane till the end of the season, Ten Hag in the summer. I would literally snap your arm off for that right now. And there's one saying, I flew from the US for the Manchester derby 2 weeks ago. Are you shaming someone like me? I'm not shaming you. I've just discussed that, and I certainly haven't got anything against anyone that comes to watch Manchester United for the first game or whatever. Make sure you subscribe to the Manchester Stand, I was going to say, the United Stand. Like the video. Jay, it's been, I was going to say emotional. Do you know what? It's been a really, really good chat. The Therapy Forum. And coming up straight after this, you'll have Adam. You'll have the fan vlogs from Watford if you want to put yourself through that. But I think it's probably something I will do because I always like to gauge fans that are at the game, see what they're thinking because they obviously watch it from a different perspective. So they'll come out. But thanks as always, Jay. Absolute pleasure, my friend.
Thanks, Kevin. As always, good chat. And thanks to everybody in the live comments. I do always actually after a show have a quick flick through them. So thanks everyone for support as always.
I'll do the same as well. We're going to wrap it up anyway. You've been watching the biggest Man United fan channel in the land. This was the United Stand.